Welcome into the Ocean Casino Gallery Bar Booking Games here in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Again, the Eagles trailing at halftime. At least that right there is familiar territory. They are trailing 17-7 to the Buffalo Bills. Turnovers, as expected, have played a big part in this game, with the Bills being able to turn that into 14 points. Going into today, 22% of the Buffalo Bills scoring this season have come off of turnovers. That's the highest percentage of turnovers in the National Football League, and the Eagles so far playing right into their hands. Welcome into the halftime show here with JAKIB Media. Marc Farzetta with you, along with Bill Colarulo and Kayla Santiago. One of the biggest things that jumps out to me is not only the turnovers, it's time of possession. When you give the football away, you're going to be doubled up in time of possession, which essentially is what it is right now, with the Buffalo Bills having the ball for 19 minutes to the Eagles 10. And also, you look at the third down conversion. Bill, you said this was going to be a big thing coming into this game, and it has not disappointed.
Philadelphia Eagles with the number one offense on third down coming in. They're 0 for 4 today for 0%. And they let the Buffalo Bills go 6 of 12 for 50%. And we've seen at least 3 or 4 third and longs where this Eagles defense wasn't able to get off the field. That's why you're seeing the time of possession so high for the Buffalo Bills. Eagles had their opportunities to get off the field, and the Bills are trying to give them this game. 10 penalties for 75 yards. They better clean it up in the second half, Farzy.
No, absolutely. We're going to get to John McMullen in just a second at Lincoln Financial Field. But, Kayla, the other thing that jumps out of this one are the penalties. Looking at the Buffalo Bills, 9 penalties to the Eagles, 1.
It doesn't matter clearly right now. We saw in the first quarter they had 6, and that definitely hurt the Buffalo Bills, but they've been able to figure it out at this point. The biggest thing that sticks out to me right now is the rushing yards. Why is Philadelphia letting Josh Allen just run all over the field? 40, and guess what? Jalen Hurts just 33 passing yards in this game. I came into this contest saying Josh Allen might lose the game for the Bills because he has some trouble with turnovers. Right now in the first half, he's the reason why they're winning this ball game.
We know about the big injury going into today's game. Unfortunately, Lane Johnson not playing at right tackle for the Eagles today due to groin soreness. Now Fletcher Cox missing time in this game as well. John McMullen, first, any more developments on Lane Johnson, how serious the injury is? And then second, when you look at Fletcher Cox, can we expect him to come out in the second half?
Well, Fletcher was walking really gingerly coming off the field, so we'll have to see. It didn't look good when he was leaving for the locker room. As I mentioned, walking very slowly. The Eagles expect Lane Johnson back next week for the San Francisco 49ers. So that 10 and 22, 16. Unless things around quickly, that's going to be 10 and 23. So the right tackle can be so dominant for a football team, and you saw it in the first half. Jack Driscoll had a lot of problems, and there was a lot of pressure coming from that side. Overall, just a really poor offensive half for the Eagles. You guys mentioned those penalties. If Buffalo.
John, I'm sorry, we're having trouble connecting there, unfortunately, with you at Lincoln Financial Field. But it did sound like, what I did get out of it, it doesn't seem like it is a serious thing, and we have seen a couple different people report that it is not going to be a severe issue here with Lane Johnson. You can expect him to come out next week against the San Francisco 49ers, which is obviously music to our ears. And, John, we hope to connect with you a little bit later in the halftime period here. But coming out of halftime, Bill, I'll start with you. What do you need to see from this Philadelphia Eagles team, and how confident are you they're going to have that second-half turnaround that we've seen in the previous 3 games?
Well, you mentioned that. On defense, the last 2 games, they've only given up 6 points in the second half in both games. 0 last week, only 6 the week before. So hopefully the defense can come out and shut down this Bills offense and create some turnovers. But on the offensive side of the ball, they got to do a better job. 4 of 11 for 33 yards for Jalen Hurts. When we seen them commit to the running game, it appeared to work, but they're just not giving enough carries to their running backs. I really would like to see them come out, mix it up, get Boston Scott involved, get DeAndre Swift involved, but let's run the football. The weather doesn't look good. Jalen Hurts doesn't look like he's throwing the ball very well. Let's establish the run and then maybe build the pass off of that.
Back to having a guy like Lane Johnson not being in this game, they come out throwing the football. What sense does that make? And, of course, the Buffalo Bills are overloading that side of the line of scrimmage. One of the other things we heard there from John McMullen, but it's just an impossible thing that seems to be a steady thing for the Philadelphia Eagles to consistently go to the pass game over the run. John, we got you back, I hope. Just real quick, just to make clear, Lane Johnson, not as severe as maybe thought, and we can expect him back next week.
Yeah, he is expected back next week. Eagles are 10-22, and he's quickly
Yeah, we're having trouble again connecting, unfortunately, John, but I do appreciate it. We'll try to connect with you again in the halftime show, hopefully with a little bit better of a signal. But, Kayla, I'll go back to you on this. I'd asked Bill earlier, when it comes to the second half, what do you need to see from this Eagles team in order to make sure they have that sustained success that they've had in the second half of games recently?
Run the ball. I can't say it anymore enough. Right now, these running backs total have 7 carries, and Jalen Hurts just by himself has 7 carries. That's absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion, especially going into this game with the weather. We've seen some carries from Boston Scott in this contest. Where is DeAndre Swift? I'm tired of not seeing him in games like this. Listen, Sean Desai has been able to make halftime adjustments. Brian Johnson, this is his time to finally shine, and he needs to do it because the Buffalo Bills are going to have their way offensively. Josh Allen already having a very good game, but if this play calling doesn't get better, if it doesn't progress, if there's no second half adjustments, the Eagles are not going to come out with a victory in this one.
No, certainly not, but they need that second half magic that we've been able to enjoy most recently with the Philadelphia Eagles. And now you look at the guy in Jalen Hurts, and you mentioned the numbers, Kayla, 4 of 11 for 33 yards with an interception. And I don't know what the miscommunication is between him and his running back, whether it's Kenny Gainwell or it's DeAndre Swift. We've now seen 3 times in the last 6 quarters them have a little confusion when it comes to the mesh point of that RPO.
They need to figure it out at this point of the season, and that's what I'm going to say to this point right now. Because Jalen Hurts, you see him, and he's being able to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league at the moment. But when you have miscues like this, defenses are able to read that completely. And we talked about it right before the halftime break. Even if he gives the ball to Kenny Gainwell on that play, Kenny Gainwell is getting absolutely smashed in the backfield for a loss of yards. So Brian Johnson, Jalen Hurts, and the running backs all need to sit down and say, if we're going to do this, we need to do this right. Because at that point, it's not going to look good, and way too many miscommunications at this point of the season. They're 9-1 for a reason, but if they're going to lose some of these games, that's going to be a big reason why, and they need to kind of brush it up.
Yeah, one guy that I think can help him come back, and it's a guy on the defensive side of things that can help shift momentum back in the Eagles' favor. We already saw a couple of big plays by both him and Jordan Davis as well, being able to get into the backfield and raise some havoc there on the Buffalo Bills. And Jalen Carter coming up with that blocked field goal. He went down in the game a little banged up, missed a couple plays, was able to come right back on the field and have that big impact. Unfortunately, Bill, the Eagles were not able to capitalize on it. They gave the ball right back to the Bills, and the Bills able to cash it in for another touchdown. Close call there with Stephon Diggs being right there at the goal line with the ball going down, but he was able to corral it and come in with that second touchdown. When you look at this defensive line, though, it looks like in this type of game it's going to have to do the same thing that it did against the Kansas City Chiefs, which is make sure they are maintaining the ownership of that line of scrimmage. What can you expect in the second half from this defensive line? Understanding the idea that Fletcher Cox might not be a part of it.
Well, the young guys are going to have to step up in a big way. You have no Fletcher Cox. We knew Milton Williams was out coming into this game. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Marlon Tupelodu, and maybe even Moro Ujomo are going to get a lot of playing time in that second half. These guys need to be ready to play. They have to figure out a way to get to Josh Allen. He's dropped back 32 times already in this game, and they only got to him once. So let's hope they can generate some interior pressure on Josh Allen and force him to make a mistake. We've seen him do it time and time again. We have to create turnovers in this second half if the Eagles want to win this football game.
Kayla, coming into today, Josh Allen had thrown an interception, at least one interception in 7 straight games. I know they alluded to his consecutive touchdown streak here, but when it comes to the interceptions, it feels like the Eagles are very close to creating a huge opportunity for themselves by being able to create a turnover. Are you expecting that in the second half?
I am, but this is the thing as well. The defense has been on the field a lot, and now you don't have that rotation, Fletcher Cox being out. You see it and you say, okay, that defensive line, pressure-wise, they'll be able to get there, but how tired are they going to be if the offense can't kind of put up some numbers on the other side of the ball? This defense, I think, is going to step up. I think that's going to happen with Josh Allen, but at the same time, how tired are they going to be in the second half if the offense did what they did in the first and second quarter?
Certainly. If you're looking at what needs to change the most, I mean, I know you can look at play calling a lot of the time, but I think this has to be the type of second half where you're reliant on your run game. You were able to do it a little bit at the start of the game against the Kansas City Chiefs when you were in Kansas City. Similar weather conditions. You were able to run the football early. They unfortunately got away from it. This is where DeAndre Swift, this is also where you have to have a guy like Kenny Gainwell. And I know he's not a fan favorite necessarily, but behind this offensive line, without Lane Johnson, the odds are you're going to have a much bigger chance of success by being able to run that football. Take that pressure off. Jalen Hurts not having a lot of success right now in the pass game. Just before halftime, they were averaging just 1.6 yards per pass. They're running the football better than they are passing the football. It's time that they exploit that and help out their offensive linemen, especially when they're down Lane Johnson. Bill, this is an opportunity for them to really show that they can still shift to the run game to save them in the second half.
And I think they're going to have to. Look, I don't want to blame the weather because you look at what Josh Allen is doing through the air. So the weather hasn't hurt their passing game, but clearly it's not working for this Philadelphia Eagles team. I'd like to see them run on the early downs. Let's make our third downs manageable. They're coming out, they're throwing on first down, and it's putting us in second and long, third and long too often. So I do want to see them try to commit to the run, and hopefully it'll help out Jack Driscoll. Don't have him dropping back all the time. Let him hit this guy a little bit. Get him into this game because he's getting beat almost every single passing play.
7 drives apiece. The Eagles are being outgained 276 to 99. Total plays 48 to 26. So, Kayla, I think in this second half we can expect that run game to kick it up a little bit more and sustain those drives.
I hope Brian Johnson listens to this panel right here at the halftime break because we've been saying it each and every week. Why is there no consistent run game? And then they don't get to get it going because it's not consistent whatsoever. That's how they win the ball game, and if they don't get it going on this rainy day, we might be talking about a loss during the postgame show.
Mike Missinelli and Seth Joyner will be on that postgame show with yours truly. Look forward to hopefully being with you guys again with John McMullen and Kayla Santiago as well. When we talk about an Eagles come-from-behind win yet again, we'll cross our fingers to that. Until then, it's 17-7 in favor of the Bills. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Some say courage is something you're born with. Others say courage is something you find. In every generation throughout history, courage has been celebrated, sought after, needed. It holds the potential for a life of impact. But what if courage isn't just something you hope for or stumble upon? What if courage is something that can be shaped at a place that inspires you, where leaders invest in you, your community believes in you, and your life becomes something bigger than it could ever be alone?
Eagles. Eagles.